Are you tired of not having enough money at the end of every month? You have gone through this situation before. You have withdrawn money from your ATM, $50 perhaps, put in your wallet, and maybe at the end of the day when you look at it, you go, where did my money go? I have no idea.
Good afternoon. This is Mother from Hearts&Minds Development Center. Welcome to Being Whole, Being Me, Series 48. And as you can see, we're going to get richer after today. So if you are having lunch and you're listening in, welcome to the program. And you know that the next 1 hour is going to be really changing our life because we're all going to be financially intelligent, but more importantly, richer, like what Go Ashokh says. So let's bring in Go Ashokh Menon. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am very good. I'm very excited because I'm going to be more intelligent today, Ashokh.
You have always been intelligent, so that's not a problem. But yeah, you're right. It's great to be even more intelligent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Ashokh.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are we going?
As in?
So tell us about the mystery about your name. Why is it Go Ashokh?
Oh, actually, no mystery here. My dad's full name is Govindan.
Govindan.
So Govindan. So that's Go is a short for his name.
And your name, your full name in your identity is Go Ashokh.
Passport identity, yes, that's Go Ashokh Menon.
So have you met another Go in your life?
With a H, yes. I mean, with the Chinese H, Chinese surnames, right? But it was very interesting because you bring it up, right? Because in Singapore and Malaysia, when I say my name is Ashokh, people have heard of Ashokh before. They know how to pronounce it. Not a problem, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was working in Hong Kong, right, they were tripping and falling all over the name. Suddenly I became their relative because they started calling me Asao. You know, I think it's an auntie or uncle also. So I said, I can tell you what, call me Go. So in Hong Kong, they call me Go. Here in Singapore, Malaysia, it's Ashokh.
Okay. So we shall call you Ashokh.
You know what? I respond to both.
So when I call you Go, you will also respond, ma?
I will come.
Okay. Let's go.
Simply.
So first and foremost, it's been so difficult to put you on this show. So thank you very much for saying yes all the way from Singapore, Ashokh.
No, thank you, Miller. Thank you.
So I'm just going to go down the memory lane when I first met you and I didn't like you. Memory lane. Yeah. So that was the first time I met you years ago. I think we were talking about Drive,
I don't think we met, I think we
had not you.
I think we had a telephone conversation.
Okay. But we spoke, right?
Yes, we did. We did speak with each other. This is probably sometime back in 2013, 14, I don't know.
So long ago. You were horrible,
Why?
I'm actually glad we had a second chance to meet, and I just want you to know that it's been such wonderful meeting you again, getting to know you.
Okay.
And And one of those things, people might be wondering, why am I bringing Go Ashok in the session? So when I met Ashok, and a different setting with, I think Shamini introduced me to you, I was thinking, is this the fellow I met many years ago? Because I didn't like that fellow, right? I was having a totally different experience, but it's not about you. By now, people
Sure.
know most people I bring on the show, I don't like them first, and then I really like them.
Oh, so that's a criteria, is it?
No, it seems to be like it's like a pickup
It's a
line.
pattern.
She will always say, "I didn't like you," and then she'd have, but what had always amazed me in the conversations we've had, and which is why I'm very, very grateful you said yes, is that you are a management consultant. And you're doing really well in that space, and you're getting into agile. And I know you're doing really well in the space because it's so difficult to get your time for a meeting or for this show. But then you're very passionate about financial intelligence. So for those people who are listening to you or meeting you for the first time, tell us like where you come from and what makes you so passionate about finances.
Where do I come from, and what makes me
Passionate about
passionate? Okay, the passion part, I can totally talk to you about it.
Okay, you can talk to Tanya. I'll figure out where you came from. Okay, and don't you dare say you're from Kerala. Okay, we're taking it offline.
All right, so that's my parents anyway. I'm fully born, bred in Singapore. In fact, got a tattoo on my back that says "Property of Singapore Government." So yeah, it's full of.
Ashok, can I just say hello to two wonderful friends of mine?
Sure.
Luis Marias is one friend who just turns up to support us every other week or twice a week. So hi, Luis. Nice. And we have, Alia has managed to join us. Belated happy birthday. I hope you finish all your celebration, and I'm sure you came here for Ashok. Alia, thanks for joining us. Okay, we said hello already. Okay, now you can tell us your passion for finance.
All right. So, okay, it's been a journey, and I never saw it as a passion in the very beginning, right? I was trying to get a grasp of it, but I think everything came into place 2020 during the COVID, right? During the COVID, that's why to me, if I'm to look at it, it's years of experience that's come into place. Let me share with you what I mean. In 2020, about early April, right? The Prime Minister in Singapore, he said that we are going off into lockdown, but he called it differently. He said it's a circuit breaker, but it's a lockdown, And when he made that announcement on a Friday, my thoughts went back to 2003, the SARS period. Okay, why did it go back to 2003 SARS period? Because I was badly affected. You see, what happened was I lost my income through my business. I had totally gone, right? And then what happened was I was going through a divorce, separation, so there were lawyers' letters coming through. And you can imagine when there is no income and you've got loans, you can imagine banks writing to you, credit card companies writing to you. So I was in a real bad place. I was a really, really bad place. I still remember once I had to draw out the money from my account. I only had $18. I had to call a friend, ask him to transfer the $2 so I can take out the last 18 because the minimum withdrawal was 20. It was really bad. And I still remember having gone to the family courts, and it was really packed, and a lot of businesses were winding down. So I recall all this, and then back in 2002, we did not have a circuit breaker or a lockdown. We just had SARS just came through. It affected the economy and businesses. But in 2020, it was a deliberate lockdown. So I could just imagine how people's finances are going to be affected. So that's what got me really stirred up to put in place a whole card game and a whole workshop around this to help people protect and basically protect their finances, you see. So I just felt that people needed help in this area at that point of time. But it's been a culmination of experience over the years, right? Having been in the financial services industry also from 1988 onwards. So it's a culmination of all of that experiences coming together. So I think the passion really has always been there, but it really kicked up a big fire in 2020 to try and help as many people as possible protect and strengthen their finances.
Nice. And why Why is this? I mean, you are obviously super rich now.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
that's
So,
an assumption.
okay. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, you're not withdrawing your last $20 for sure. So, from that time where you had to borrow $2 to withdraw your $20
18.
to the
Yeah.
point up. So you borrowed $2 to withdraw your $18. Okay, fine. It's still your $18, right? To where you are today. So you're definitely in a good space. Why do you think? I mean, if you can just look after your own finances. Why do you feel it?
To share this with everyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why?
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking at repercussions. Because I can imagine at a family unit, because I know what I went through. At a family unit, if people are going through these issues and they're not having conversations with their spouses and all, I can imagine the kind of stress it will lead to the family, whether at the spouse level, at the children level, which could then roll out to the societal level, right?
Right.
So if there are more and more people who are going to be depressed or starting to suffer from self-belief, it'll affect a lot of their performance, their happiness, you know. And that is what I went through, and I am trying to see if I can help as many people not go through these issues, because family units need to be tight, society need to be tight in that sense, the communities need to help each other. And that's the main reason I just felt that I needed to put it out there.
Okay. Just at this moment, I feel like saying, "Ayo, Ashok, I love you." But before I say that, why is this important for you, Ashok? Because I know in the little conversations we've had, I know there's like a deeper purpose for you why you feel like you want people to be financially secure, because that there's that financial security is almost tied to our identity these days and our self-esteem, because it gets us to play our roles well. And I know you focus a lot on the family, right? But it's people's life. What you've got your life in order. Why? We're
Yeah,
still friends, right?
I I think it's also because having been in the financial services sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see many people coming forward, stepping forward, and really helping people manage their finances. I mean, they have glorified titles and all of that, but it's still about selling products and all that, right? I don't
Ah,
think they go into the nitty gritty of things, you know. And personally, for myself, like I said, I've been through that situation where I've been stretched and feel so miserable and lousy about myself, and I've gone to the other extreme where I started feeling confident and happy about myself,
right,
and I know that feeling, you know.
right,
And I know that if more and more people can have that feeling, it will
right.
really help them. You see, and I think that is still what I guess if I really have to boil it down, good question that you're asking me to think deeper. I guess my question was, what can I what can I leave for my children, right? Because I have been talking about this to them since they were young, about managing their finances and all of that, but I also realize my children's peers also probably need this help, right? So those were the motivators for me, because still remember when I opened up the Word document, the first thing at the top I wrote down was, how can I help my children? What advice can I give them? And then I started writing, you know. So those are my various motivators.
Mm. Because
Yeah.
I know you're very passionate about it. Because while you do all the other good corporate work, and whenever you speak about this, maybe I haven't spoken to you about enough of your corporate work, but whenever you talk about finances, I can see that you're very passionate. So thank you. But when we think about finances and financial intelligence, so tell me, if you were to define financial intelligence, what would that be for people who are listening? What does it mean to
Okay.
you in our world?
All right. So okay, to me the word financial intelligence, it's very scary. It's very atas, you know. So I personally do not know. I don't use that word.
Bahasa Melayu, ya?
No. I only want to know one or two words.
Atas saja, okay.
You know, so to me financial intelligence sounds very lofty, something very difficult to get, and it separates the person from finance. That's what I feel. So I don't use that word personally. I don't use the word. You know, for the longest time, whenever I share ideas with everyone, I always talk to them about financial habits. It's about the actions, habits, the actions. Because yes, in the actions, when you start putting it into place, you will learn, intelligence will grow, wisdom will be there. But to me, it's about the actions itself. It's about the financial habits. It's about having the right financial habits. So every time that when you mention financial intelligence, I probably use the word financial habits for myself, because that's something I can relate to. Because like I said, when I see financial intelligence, wow, that seems like not for me. I'm not that intelligent. It's so lofty for me. But I personally love the word financial habits. It's very actionable. It's something I can help people with. Yeah.
Nice.
So
I tell you,
sorry, I will disagree, lah.
yeah. I mean, I'm very upset with the person who put up the poster saying that we're going to talk about financial intelligence. I wonder who was
No,
that.
that's fine. That's fine. Definitely. I mean, it's normal. It's normal. It's normal.
Well, I'll tell you that for me, just like emotional intelligence, for me, financial intelligence. I think the reason we don't form habits, whether it's emotions or finances, is because we lack regulation, which equals to not having good habits.
Yep.
All right. And when we are able to first identify the good habits that works for the life that we choose to have, and we are able to practice those habits and make that as a part of us, I think that is what it means to be intelligent.
Yes, agreed.
To choose, the path that we are choosing consciously, because we know it aligns with the path that we are seeking and that we want. So your habits is my intelligence, okay?
Yes, fair enough.
As I say that, no, Tesla had agreed me. Okay. Now I'm going to say good morning. Good morning to Amit. Hi, Amit. Good morning. He's a LinkedIn user. All right. Sorry you can't see your name, but glad to have you here. Oh, Gerald finally came through. Hi, Gerald. Thanks for coming again, Gerald Fernandez. I think you know him, right, Ashok? And Gerald says financial habits are so crucial and many require the knowledge or assistance. Should start from young and just wish it's a major subject in schools. That's what Gerald says. Okay, but because we didn't learn it in school, we have Ashok.
But I do agree with Gerald.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm not too sure whether this happened in Malaysia, but I remember it happened to me when I was in primary school in Singapore. Every Mondays, we used to bring $1 to school, convert it to 10-cent stamps, and they'll give us a card, and we had to stick our 10-cent stamps, there, and then pass it back to the teacher, which will go into a savings account. So,
wow.
Yeah. So all of us had to do that every Monday.
Right.
Every Monday, right? So if you think about it, I mean, of course, at that point of time, it was just a practice of stamps, sticking it, and all of that. But on hindsight, when I look at it, those were little habits that we were starting. Yeah, it was little habits. So I do agree with Gerald in that sense. It's when it comes to our mindset about money and finances, a lot of these discussions should happen in the school. And a lot of it should even happen at home. But I suspect these conversations don't occur at home enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I think most things need to start at home. And when we are not doing it at home, and then we are hoping the schools would do it, it gets a bit challenging. This is really so much to do, both for the parents and for the schools, right? But these are what I think for me, these are life habits, right? So I wasn't exposed to forget about savings. I don't think in our growing years we had enough. Forget about savings, right? You can survive the month. I think it was fantastic, right? I mean, there were days my mom used to go to work. Only when she comes home, we know what sort of a meal we're going to have, because it depends on her earning for the day, and that decides, right? So I've never paid attention to savings. Number one, for me, it's always and somehow or other, I've been very lucky, because even when it came to my exam fee, there will be somehow or other we'll figure it out at the last minute. So I believed in divine intervention all the time, right? Sure. And I used to leave on my last $10, right? And we had quite a bit of fun, I must say. That when you're withdrawing, the last $10 is exciting, because the next day is salary day, right? Until your salary is delayed, then you die, Yeah, I lived that way for a bit, but I had I have a very good friend whom I modeled, right? Because she would write down every cent that she spent. Every cent. So she used to carry this Tika Lima buku, right? And I spent it. So I thought, no money, like what is that you talk? Small one.
This
Yeah,
one,
that one. Yeah. When we walk, she'll write down, I spent this much for bus fare and all of that. And I modeled her. So even though I didn't have savings, modeling her behavior really brought about a lot of awareness in me as to how much I was spending, where my money was going. Then and that awareness, I think, has really helped me, and I must thank my friend. She's one of the best I know in terms of savings.
I think you should really thank her.
Yes.
I tell you why. I'll tell you why. The reason why I brought this up, right? I wanted to show this to you today. But this is a habit that I had. Now it's digital, right? And I do share this with everyone. And this is exactly what I used to do, is it? On a daily basis, all my expenses, I used to jot it down. The
Nice.
reason for that is because I keep telling everyone, you can draw money out from your ATM. By the end of the day, you're always thinking about where did it go? I mean, because if I ask you, how much you spend on a monthly basis, all your big ticket items, you do know. I mean, the loans you pay, your children's expenses, so on and so forth. But if I ask you how much you spend daily, right? Chances are some people may go like, not too sure, is it? But once you start writing it down, number one, what happens is you create the awareness exactly like what you said. Because I still remember, right? I wrote it down. I diligently, when I started doing it for 3 months, right? Because 3 months is when, number one, you see a pattern. But the most important thing, what happens is a journaling experience, right? You start questioning yourself. You start asking the most important questions. Why did I have to spend it that day? What happened to me that made me spend it? And you start going deeper. Then you ask yourself, was it the company you kept, or the emotions that you went through, or were you just lazy, you didn't want to look for an alternative, whatever it is. Then it becomes a self-reflection,
Sure.
And this is an important habit. So when you talk about financial intelligence, this is actually one of the most important habits that I always tell people. Before you do anything, start tracking your daily expenses. Of course, it's monthly and all of that, but start daily first. Start that habit on a daily basis.
Yeah, if you can do the daily bits, then a weekly, monthly becomes easy. And once you see it,
Easier. Then it becomes a budgeting, is it? And then, of course, I mean, if you want to make it look nice, yes, you put it in a cash flow format where you put inflows and outflows, fixed and variable. Yeah, you can do all of that. But essentially, right? It's a habit of tracking what you earn and where it goes to.
Right. I want to just share with you what you say resonates a lot. There's a book called Change Anything. Have you read it?
Very familiar. Change anything.
Okay. Now, so in this book, I read this book because they talk about why, they started off with the study, I think, on, the marshmallow, on delayed gratification,
Yes,
right?
delayed gratification.
So initially, when that particular study was out, right? What they were saying is that kids who delayed their gratification, that means waited for the second marshmallow, were far more successful. So that was associated to willpower, right? But when I read this book, it was mind blowing for me because what they looked at is they looked at another perspective, and they said they looked at the children who waited for the second marshmallow, which is delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is very important for finances, right? You need to be able to wait to spend the money, right?
Absolutely.
And they looked at what were the kids doing while waiting. And one of those things, one thing that came out through during that waiting period, the kids focused on something else. Right?
Yes, right.
And
Yeah.
so it was not so much of the willpower, but the fact that they were distracted and they focused on something else didn't keep their mind and the desire on the marshmallow, which then increases your need to eat the marshmallow there and then, right?
Absolutely.
And one of those things they did is they looked at people who had financial issues over and over again, who got into debts, like we meet those people, those who need a loan end of the month, and will never be able to. So there's a pattern, right? And when they study the pattern, one of those things that they realize is that they don't keep track of the expenses. And so, and that's why credit card users, one of those questions they ask you is that, can you remember what are the transactions that's going through your credit card, right? And even you track, when you focus on the numbers, they found that people will become more aware, and their ability to go back to being, more self-regulated was greater. So that's what they did, with the different kind of habits where you're lacking, right? So with the finances, they found that people who use credit card tend to not keep track of the expenses compared to people who use cash. And when you use hard cash, when you're giving out the money, the pain is different from you swiping, and they make it easier now with the Wave, right? So I think these are subtle habits that has got emotional component for you when you're giving away money compared to using the credit card, right? Because when you're withdrawing that money, you feel the pain. Oh my gosh, 1,000 where did it go? That pain becomes necessary sometimes for you to reflect, because when you're doing the card, your pain is only when you may be paying end of the month. So just wanted to share that, as you said about
So a couple of things you brought up, very, very, very good points. Okay, you see, the key part that you mentioned, right, is when you're using credit cards and all of that, you mentioned one word, you need to reflect. And I totally agree with that. You need to be aware. I mean, there are conveniences. Credit card, there are conveniences. But you need to be aware. You might not feel the pain as in cash, but you need to be aware that the money is still going out. So sometimes when people ask me what they can do, for example, I mean, what I do is very simple, right? I have one account purely for expenses. Right? That means I have my own account for banking, savings, or whatever, that kind of stuff. But one account is purely for my monthly expenses. And that's it. I just transfer it there, right? I don't carry credit cards at all, right? Do I have a credit card? I do, but I never carry it. I always leave it at home, right? I don't.
When you come to Malaysia, please bring, okay?
I don't know whether I will. I don't know because I've always. I will come to Malaysia, but I don't know whether I'll carry a credit card. It's just been a habit from ever since that 2002 experiences and all, right? So yes, my credit cards are mainly to book travel, flights and all of that. But by and large, I avoid credit cards. It's cash, and I transfer to an account, and I know in that month that is all I have. Nice. So whatever Wave I do, right? What I do is I immediately track it on a digital tracker. Right? Wow. I use an app to straight away daily. I write down how much I spend. Even if I waive it, I write it down. So it is important to be aware. Now, interestingly, when you brought up about the delayed gratification, it's actually part of a habit also.
Yes.
Let me share with you two stories of people I know how they've used delayed gratification as a habit, right? Under savings, right? Under spending, and under investments. Let me tell you how, right? First is spending. So what my wife does is this: when let's say she wants to buy an item, she loves the sewing items and all this. Let's say she wants to buy an item, $3,000, for example, right? So what she does is she does, number one habit is extensive research, even in the forums and what have you got, right? She will actually zoom into what she wants to buy, but she delays for 2 or 3 months before she buys it. But during that period of time, she saves some money for it. So for example, if it's 3,000, for example, every month she'll save $1,000. And at the end of 3 months, then she re-questions herself. Do I still need it? If the feeling is there that I need it, then I'll spend it. If the feeling is not there that she doesn't need it, she will not spend it. So it is a delayed gratification, but it is purposeful in that sense where she spends time even researching. All right. So that's for spend. So it's a spending habit, but they are using delayed gratification. So are they focused on something else? They are still focused on the spending the money, but they're focusing on gathering the information before they make an informed decision in that sense. Right? That's number one. Right? So that's fantastic. The other lady, a friend of mine, close friend, she manages her finances for her whole family, her husband and all. Right? So she is a main person. right? So she got different portfolios that she will put her money into, and she was telling me that she even puts into high risk investments, like what's it, oil, palm, and all that kind of stuff, commodities, right? So I was like, oh, really? You do that? So yes, but she says she will not make immediate decision because she needs to divorce her emotions from her decision, right? So she has a strategy. She says, if the commodities go up 20% or go down 20%, that's a cutoff. So that's one strategic decision. But before she goes into a particular commodity or whatsoever, she says she delays the decision because she knows, she's aware that her emotions can get clouded. So she would take maybe like 24 hours, 48 hours or so before she makes a certain decision. So I can see how delayed gratification are used by people to make sound financial decisions as well. And it's also part of a habit, actually. If you think about it, it is a habit. It's a fantastic habit.
Yeah. They always tell you, in good old days when we were not doing so much of online shopping, if you like something, walk, pick it up, leave it there, finish your shopping, come back, and usually chances of you buying it is very, very low. That's why in sales, there's a lot of push to get customers to buy at the first instance, because if they walk away, then the chances of us buying is much lower, much reduced, right? And that's from a sales point of view, because as you walk, you get distracted. Your emotions are not your guiding lights anymore, right? You become calmer, and when you become calmer, you're able to think better, think clearly, think more objectively, right?
Yep.
Now, as I say that, so your wife and her delayed gratification, was she like that before she married you or after she married you?
Oh, way before. That was a habit she had way before.
Nice. Okay, very, very nice. I think so. You gave me these two nice examples of women, right? Of delayed gratification, how they're managing money. And we are talking about Break the Bias this month because it's a month of International Women's Day, right? How do you see financial habits, good money habits, as you might say? How do you see that in relation to Break the Bias, and specifically now paying attention to, I know you have a lot of women as friends, right, Ashokh? No. Okay, you have men and women. In the work that you've actually done with people on their finances, how do you see? Your thoughts and opinion about, how does financial intelligence or good habits, right, impact, you think, this whole aspiration to break the bias? Because men generally have more money than women, because you all had many years to save up, because you all went to work, you all had your money.
I don't know whether that's a bias, but okay.
I mean, you think about it, right? The power rested in men in the past,
Okay.
for whatever reason, right? The power rested in men in the past because they had money. Now they had money because they were the only ones who were in spaces where they could go and work, right?
Okay.
And one of the empowerment that we women have got now is really because we are able to go to work, which means that now I take back some of the power that the man might have held, right? I'm not saying all men are like that, might have held, because now I can make choices because I know I can stand on my own, right? And this is not to Ashokh to say, oh, men are bad. Some men are good, some men are bad. But I'm talking to a good man now, I hope. Because I think you're more families than me. That's what I have realized about you. So tell me, how do you see that impacting Break the Bias in your opinion?
Okay, so a couple of things here that you mentioned, which in my experience with females, right? I've actually picked up a lot of good habits from them. I've observed that. Maybe it's a crowd I keep. Yeah, no, true. And even in my workshops that I do and all of that, I realize something. The women are a bit more shy to talk about how well they are doing. Maybe because the class has more males and they're a bit more dominant and louder, whatever, But when I have a one-to-one, or when I coax it out of them, right? They've got very good habits. They just don't talk about it in a big way. Maybe they share intimately with their friends, right? So to me, that bias in that sense, I still haven't seen it. But having said that, recently I came through a very interesting study, right, by Fidelity Investment. Oh, sorry, that's my dogs. Shh, shh, shh,
Wow.
shh. Sorry, my apologies.
No,
They're quite
don't
excited.
apologize. They're cute. Hopefully, they'll come and show their faces later if they want to. Right now, they want your attention, I think.
Yeah, I think so. No, food time, lunchtime.
But if your dogs come, you will stop paying attention to you because they're really cute.
Okay, you all don't come then. Okay. All right. So, okay, Fidelity Investment, a fund management company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they did a study. Okay, they did a study. It was very interesting. It's a 10-year study, right? Because they have the data. They have the data. So they started from about January 2011 right up to December 2020, right? They have about 5 million databases that they have looked at, male and female. Yep. So I think it's a pretty extensive, very good study, right? Now, one thing that came out from there, which I think a lot of females should be aware about, right, is this. When women decide to invest, they outperform men
Woohoo!
by 40 basis points or 0.4%. Okay, so if I translate that to money, right, for example, Muller, right, if you and I put $100,000, right, to investment, right, the way you'll invest and the way I'll invest, 25 years later, you'll have $25,000 more, right? 20 years later, you'll have $25,000 more. And if it is 30 years later, you'll have $68,000 more. So women are outperforming men. When they do decide, they outperform men, right? So to me, when I read that research by Fidelity Investments, it's called 2021 Women and Investing Study, right? Fidelity Investments. So I say, hey, you know what? This is something important for women to really be aware about, you know? But what it told me also was this couple of things, right? We've heard about this kind of biases that women are risk aware. They are risk averse, right? Sorry. Which I disagree because I think based on this study, what it shows me is they are more risk aware. They have done the due diligence, they have done the study. That's why they're risk aware. They're not risk averse, right? And are women bad investors? To me, it tells me something very clearly here. Women are not speculators. They tend to be investors. Now, there's a difference here. Men tend to be a bit more speculative in that sense. They put into high risk investments and they're hoping for better returns and all that. But women have a comprehensive study of where they want to put their money into. They put in their due diligence. They are aware about their risks and they're in for the long term.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, they are in for the long term, you know. And to me, of course, the study did not go into those specifics. But when the study shared that women outperform men, right? It told me something. It is about the right habits that they have. It is about the research that they do, you know. Because 10 years, 5 million people, it couldn't be out of luck. You know? It's deliberate. It's deliberate. It's what do you mention? Regulated habits. You know?
So,
Yeah. And it's about
your dog is there. So what I'm hearing from you, so I've got two questions coming up. But
Sure.
before that, I always give priority to me asking questions. Okay. So I think this study is fantastic because I think you're saying a few things, right? And I'm just wondering, I'm throwing it up to you because
Sure.
women generally, when we talk about generalization, right? We've been labeled, we tend to be penny wise, right? Sometimes we look at small things. We look at every cent that is spent usually when we are in charge of finances at home. Whereas men, are known to be big picture. Tell me the big picture. Don't give me the nitty gritty. Now I'm just wondering whether these habits that women generally have been associated to, and I personally don't think it's because we are female, but I think I call this generational intelligence. Right now, what is generational intelligence? Because we've held this portfolio to manage home budgets, right? You were on a tight budget, so if you want to deal with the budget, you need to pay attention to details, right, from the past, right?
Yep.
And so that becomes habits that you get used to, and so that's why we begin to pay attention to small little things that really matter. what I'm hearing from you is what we thought might have been a weakness for women, because we are not paying attention to the big pictures and all of that. I think you're making me think that, we need to relook at how can we use our generational intelligence, what we are good at, to use it appropriately in financial intelligence. And like what you say, investing, because women are also known to be very long-term oriented, whether it's relationship or money, right?
Yep.
What we're not looking, yeah. So
Yep.
and so when you think about it, because we think long term and because we're thinking about the nitty-gritty, I'm just wondering, because we said 10 years and 20 years, right? And you put it nicely, we're not speculators, but we are investors.
Mhm.
So we're thinking through it, and we're managing the risk, and we want to know what is it that we're actually doing for those who are paying attention. So I'm thinking that from what you're saying, that it is our skills, if I may use, right, in being having picked up this habit as a woman, that's now helping us in this particular area. And your research, or the research you quoted, affirms that, that use what you're good at and see how that can actually help me move forward or progress. I don't know, so I just needed to say that.
You know what? Absolutely spot on. In fact, I like the generational intelligence in that sense, because again, whether it's women or males in that sense, right? I feel these are habits that everyone should have, right, regardless of gender, because I feel males can learn more from females. If you ask me,
In some areas,
in
right?
some areas, yeah,
In some areas, I think,
yeah,
and that's really what Break the Bias is about. It's not which gender is better, but
yeah,
each gender picked up intelligences
mhm,
over the generation because of our situation and because of the way we live,
yeah,
right? And
absolutely
so,
right.
yeah, so, and what we want to do, instead of trying to be the other gender, why
Correct.
don't we use the intelligence, the strengths that
The
we
strengths,
have to move it
absolutely,
forward, right? And so I'm
absolutely right.
sure there are something. So just like strength, we women have weaknesses, which I won't talk about. But men have their strength. Let's use that strength to move you forward, and
Mm, mm,
don't let your weakness bring you backward. And this is
absolutely.
where I think when we work together, we either complement or we can learn from each other and support each other, because you can't be good at everything. So let me see what are some of the so-called labeled male habits that I need to be good at this. Again, Ashok, I don't think men have habits because they are men. I think men have habits because they've picked it up over the generation, same as women,
Okay.
right? And that's what I think. You know how we talk about, when we talk, when you say men are high risk takers. Well, you started off as hunters anyway.
Yep.
You
Yep.
need to go out there, and the world wasn't safe. And if you
Mm,
were not high risk takers, you wouldn't have
okay.
gone out and risked your life to bring food back for the family. Typically
Okay.
speaking, right? So we need to appreciate that, but we also need to know that it may not be relevant anymore. There's a relearning that needs to
Okay.
take place.
Fair
Is
enough.
what
Yeah, I can accept that. Yeah,
I
there's
like.
certain, yeah, yeah, there is a relearning required. Definite. Agreed.
Okay. All
Right.
right.
And
All
and
right.
I love the fact that you mentioned that we need to tap on each other's strengths.
Hmm.
Absolutely right.
Nice.
Absolutely right.
I like it when you agree with me, Ashok.
Sure, I'm Singaporean.
I'm going to say hello. I'm going to say hello to Lena. Lena Ali is an artist, a beautiful artist. She has come in. She said, "Hi, Lena." She said hello to you and to Gerald and to me. Hi, Lena. Nice having you here. And I think she said something about, wow, I should tell my hubby to give me his money to invest and see if we can make more profit on when investing. Well, I don't know whether I can respond to Lena. Lena, we don't automatically qualify because we are women. We need to think like the women who invested and then give you the money. All right. Gerald has a question, I think. What would your advice be for one who wants to invest in low to moderate risk areas? What instruments and avenues should one consider? So he's going into investment now.
Yeah, it's pretty much specific into type of instruments and all that. Again, Gerald, uh, I mean, I have my disclaimers, right? Because I'm not a authorized financial advisor, but this is my advice if it is my children and all that, right? I would ask them to, if you're investing in low to moderate area risk and all that, I've always told them just go into unit trust or what we call mutual funds in Malaysia, perhaps, right? Yeah, go into that. Those type of instruments, those kind of platforms is what I would normally advise. But I've also asked them to think about asking the right questions. For example, right? Based on the current economic situation in the world today, right? For the last 2 years, right? If you look at what people need and what businesses need, right? What are some things that they would need? What would businesses probably be investing more into? You know, so some prompters could be apart from technology. There would be food requirements for people out there, sustainability, environment. So what happens is when you start asking people these questions, that's when you start thinking about where specifically you may want to put your funds into, to low to moderate or so, right? So when people do ask me these questions, I ask them to think about where their position is, what their views about the economy is, regardless, because everyone has a view, right, about how the global economy will be, the situation for SMEs, businesses, and all that. What do people require on the ground, right? And can you invest in those areas, but through maybe mutual funds in that sense, right? So, so yeah, I normally don't go into the nitty gritties of the type of funds, but this is how broadly I will tell people to look into areas.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'm hearing from you, right, Ashok, is this. I think it was a very good question Gerald asked, but I think for me, from what you're saying, right, is that if you think you want to have more control over the outcomes, you need more control over the understanding of certainty. So you will only be more certain if you understand what you're investing in, and you need to know how the mechanics of investment work for different things, which means you need to get more educated, right?
Okay. You cannot run away from gathering information. That is
Right.
important. To me, that's a habit, right? There's a habit. I call it research. That one you cannot run away. You have to be equipped. You don't have to be an expert in it,
Mm.
but you need to understand the mechanics. Or I mean, at a very high level. Again, yes, we have YouTubes and what have you got. But what I do is I normally link up with people who have been in that industry or people who are business owners. So I have specific discussions with them.
Mm.
Have specific discussions with them to understand what is happening. So yes, research you cannot run away from.
Nice, nice. I think it's the understanding, because I think a lot of us like don't understand. So for me, right, I don't fancy understanding too much. So I look at, if I work with a financial consultant, if I really do want to invest, someone I trust, someone whom I think understands what he or she is doing, right? Then I might. But otherwise, because um, we want certain outcomes without getting educated how the mechanics work. I think that's where sometimes the challenge is like. And there are so many areas you need to get educated on, right? Beyond
Hmm.
finances, you know,
Oh,
crowning. Say
what do you
something.
mean?
What's that?
What do you mean by you need to be educated in all other, I mean, many other aspects? I mean, finances is definitely one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Emotions
No,
is
I mean,
definitely one
so
thing.
if I want to invest, so financial intelligence, there's so many aspects of finances I really need to understand if I
Okay.
want to make my choices independently,
Yes. Choices. Yes.
right? Because and the reason I want to make choices independently is because I don't want to depend on another person's wisdom or knowledge. I want to make the choice, right? Because even if you go to a financial consultant, he or she is going to ask, are you high risk or low risk? And then you're already thinking, but I want higher returns, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So sometimes even knowing what is high risk, what is medium risk, I need to understand how things work, right? I need to, if I don't understand, then even with my financial consultant, I'll have difficulty identifying what is the right type of investment for me. What's the right lifestyle that I want to choose?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you hit another area that is a bit frustrating for me,
Which
right?
is, Frustrated with me, just an
No,
area.
no, 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 not with you at all. Even in it's. I believe financial advisors can actually deepen their level of conversations with people and steer away just from talking about high risk, low risk, and all of that. But it's, you see, you keep pointing about something from an hour ago up to now. You always mention thing. You've already said it twice, and that is a key. Is the choices that you make. Because at the end of the day, Mallar, all of us here, we're making life choices for ourselves and our families,
Mm.
right? And how we manage our finances is enabling us to live, to experience those life choices, right? And to me, I feel that even advisors, right, they should actually go in deeper to understand these life choices,
Mm.
because the instruments are instruments. Instruments just facilitates allowing you to experience that.
Mm.
They can actually simplify that, you see. But if you understand what are the important life choices and why that is important for a person, that adds a whole different flavor to conversations, financial conversations,
Right.
and I feel that financial advisors should be actually taking the lead on this, which sadly I've not come across, right? And I believe that this type of conversations should actually even happen at home with the families,
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
spouse level, at the children level
Yeah.
also. I think it's extremely important, you know,
Yeah.
because I think we have, yes, money is a medium of exchange. Okay, let's recognize that it's a medium of exchange. Um, does it actually have add a value to our self worth out there? I disagree. Because I mean, yes, I mean, how do we measure our life? Is it through just net worth? Or do we have a different level of measurement through self-worth? See? Money is a medium of exchange. Money allows us to experience our choices, right? But we are beyond money in that sense. See? We are beyond money in that sense. We should see how we can use money to create choices for ourselves and for the community in that sense. You know, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah,
But yes,
I think we need another conversation. I loved what you said, but having said what you
yeah,
said, which I totally agree, is I think the one question about money and our identity is whether how we see, how we measure ourselves.
mm,
And that means that what is the idea of success that I hold in my head, because that will then determine uh, how I make my choices and how the relationship I have with money. Whether I see the money as my bridge, right? Or I see money as a part of me. It identifies who I
yeah,
am and what I'm worth. So I think the worth that we talk about, we often tend to blame other people for labeling us or judging us that way, but actually we are the first person who needs to decide how do I define myself. And if my definition of self-worth, if it is associated to things that money can buy, then that's what I'm going to go for, right? And I think that's more like the basic question that a lot of
mm,
us need to honestly answer first, right?
totally agree.
Mm.
Totally agree. Sadly, I don't have firm statistics, but I probably less than 5% of people actually ask these hard questions.
Yeah, because they're
It, it, it,
hard. Ashok. They're very hard.
it is hard. It's hard, but it is so important because you know what's the flip side? They follow the Joneses or the Tans or the Lims or Abdullahs or whatever you want to call it, right? We just follow everyone else, and if you're in a certain group, right, everyone is splashing out money just to carry branded stuff. We believe that is the way to measure ourselves, and that's what happens, you know. But are you happier inside? Are you true to yourself? Because I can say this honestly only because I've been on both sides of the coin.
Mm.
When I was young, hitting the workforce, I followed the in crowd, wearing fashionable shoes pointed so hard that it hurt my toes. What is more important is actually my comfort of my feet. But bloody hell, I wanted to impress everyone else.
Really, I can't
Yeah,
imagine
yeah,
you doing.
no, it's true because I've been on that side. I've been on that side where I just like, okay, let's follow the Joneses and all that. I thought that was a word, but I kept asking myself, why am I not happy?
Mm.
Why am I not happy with myself? Why do I feel unhappy talking about these kind of things,
Mm.
and that started their own self-reflection. And I still remember, I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but hey, that's my life, right? There was a time I had this big gold bracelets here and all that kind of stuff. Okay, guilty. Those days.
No, I
But
think you look cool.
no. I was embarrassed because when it flashes up, people look at it, this conversation, then suddenly I just felt that that's not me, see? I was just pretending to be somebody else. I was trying to just project something else. And then over time, I started hiding it. Eventually, I just took it away. And you know what? Then I started feeling, this is me. Get to know me for who I am. And so therefore, you're absolutely right. And that is another habit that I always ask everyone to be aware about. What is it? Who are you really? What do you really want for yourself? What do you see yourself? It's extremely important conversations to have, you see. So finance is finance. Finance is an enabler in that sense.
Yeah.
But you need to be aware about who you are and what do you want to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashok.
And that,
We're passionately going into a very sacred, intimate space of this world. Because it's almost 1, and I've got 3 questions before my friends
Oh,
to me. Yeah.
damn.
I
Oh, sorry.
no, you don't look. Yeah. So I told you 1 hour will go very fast. So I'm going to ask the questions and maybe sacrifice my rapid fire. Gerald asked, instead of credit cards, we should use debit cards. Okay. And as we only spend what we have, to me, credit cards is dangerous if we do not form good habits and restrictions. What are your thoughts? Ashok already agreed.
Okay. Number one, I definitely agree. Like I said, I'm a debit card fan, right? So I do use a debit card. But one more layer I'll say, Gerald, right, is in this: track your expenses. Have that monthly expenses, so you know what you're spending, even on a debit basis, right? That's number one. Number two is if you need to be aware of a lot of scammers these days. So even if you use your debit cards and all that, do not put your information out there for everyone. If you have to use PayPal and all that for a second layer of protection, please do so, right? So number one, I say yes, I'm a for debit card, but make sure you know what you're spending on, track it, right, and protect, because there are going to be more and more scammers out there.
Yeah. Because if you, I think one of those things that about debit cards is that, right? Because I'm a fan of credit cards. I'm tracking the expense, okay? But the thing about debit card, I mean, from the perspective of what Gerald is saying, is that if you have too much of money in your account where you use drawing from for your debit card, and if you don't keep track, you might also be losing or using money that you could have kept for something else, right? Because that's where the tracking makes a lot of difference, right? Because I don't like what you said, you have a different account as to, this is the amount that you're going to spend for this month, right?
That's with the debit card.
Yeah. So what I do is that I put away the money that I cannot use or I shouldn't use, and I live with whatever that's in. So that's my own self-discipline, because I have other bad habits that I'm trying to cover, which I won't say publicly.
So just make sure you ring fence that money with debit cards or whatever. Just ring fence it against other people tapping into it, or you yourself tapping into it unnecessarily. Right?
Nice. So Lena says, "Yay, Malar, I love credit cards too." Yes, so we love credit cards, but we will keep track, Ashok, so don't stare at us that way. And Lena said, asking questions is very important, and being honest with ourselves is really important. Lena also said, I agree, Malar, that it's just both gender need to relearn some new things and acknowledge and tap on each other's strength. Fantastic. 2 more questions. I will go with Gerald again so that we settle him over lunch. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Do you agree with this? I think he's talking about investments where people promise you the moon and the sky and looks too good, right? So you're agreeing. So tell me, how do we differentiate too good, and how do we draw the line between what is too good and a check on reality beyond the knowledge, beyond acquiring the knowledge and understanding? Or asking you.
I think it's a combination of both. So I again, General, I agree with what you say. If it's too good to be true, it's like I'll be suspicious. But I don't think it's just beyond the knowledge. I think it's a mixture of both. Okay, so because for me, it's about the fundamentals. I'm asking the questions, right? Where do this additional money come from? Where do they create it from? Where does it happen? I mean, I give you an example, right? So, Malar, if I ask you to invest in Microsoft, right? Or if I ask you to invest in a unicorn company, BitDance, which also owns TikTok, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Very quickly, 2 seconds.
Microsoft.
Okay, so you see what happens is this: when people say BitDance is a unicorn organization, my question to everyone is: has anyone seen a unicorn before? You know. So exactly. So what are people doing? VCs are actually saying this is a potential for the future earnings. I don't work on that. I look at fundamentals. I look at today itself. So I think it's the knowledge is important in that sense. But I ask hard questions about, okay, where is this money coming from? It's just like if someone wants to borrow money from me, I normally don't give. But if they want to borrow and they say they're going to return, if they want to return, my questions would be, how are you going to return it? What's your source? So so very similar when I put into an organization or putting into investments. If it's too good to be true, it normally is for me. I'd rather go on a safer bet.
Nice. So you need to ask some fundamental questions, is what you're saying, because I wanted to tell you, when you said unicorn, I was not going to go with it, but when you said TikTok, it's something I would have considered investing in the
Exactly.
short term, because I know right now, I'm just exploring TikTok for fun too, for my work. And I realize how powerful it is in influencing people's mind. So I know it's going to have an uptrend before something shifts, right? So I might actually consider TikTok short run, very, very short term, before something else picks up, provided I'm going to pay attention to the growth of TikTok and whatever goes under TikTok. That's what I want to do.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about, Mala. These are the type of questions. It's nothing complex with finance. You're looking at a business point of view. What is happening out there? What is the number of people who are on it? What is the potential? But at the same point of time, you notice you are risk aware. You're saying, okay, only for a short time, because I think there might be something else coming there. There's something else happening there. There's maybe it's intuitional, or maybe it is with knowledge, and that's exactly your strength, is it?
Oh, I feel
so to me, it's not about risk averse. This is what exactly I meant earlier. You're risk aware and you're asking the right questions.
Thank you. And Panir Paul Rajamani, who's a pastor, he's asking, hi Malar, best investment option for retirees like me, risk averse, steady income. I don't think he's going to like your answer, Ashok, but try and say it nicely.
Best investment options for retirees like me. What are the best options? Okay, so there are many other factors you need to consider. Number one is, I'm not too sure what is your age at the moment, right? What is your family history in terms of health and all of that? Because we've got to look at the average mortality and all that kind of stuff. Let's say if you've got a 40-year run, you've got a 40-year run of investments, right? Of retirement, for example. I'll say, hey, why don't you also put a little bit into a medium and high risk also, you see? Again, it's very difficult just to give you a blanket answer, because I also need to understand whether you have a residential home, or are you now staying in rented properties or so. There are different questions to ask before I actually give you a broad-based answer. But what I would ensure is, make sure you look after your health. Make sure you have maybe perhaps your medical policies, or if you're a government servant or so, if you have those in place, fantastic, because that is something that's going to be very, very important. You've got to look after your health. You've got to have those medical policies in place. From an investment point of view, depending on what's the age group and how far you got to run, you can take, I will always just say at this point of time, just go with a unit trust at the moment. Right? There might be a lot of people might come in there, cryptocurrency, NTF, and all of that. This was sexy sounding stuff, but I don't know. I maybe because I'm not a big fan. I'm not going to give you, Panel, sorry, I'm not giving you a specific idea, but I'm just saying take all these other factors into consideration also.
Yeah. You know what
I learned? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, finish.
No, I think maybe if you have 10 kids, they are your retirement income. I don't know.
No. Panil doesn't have 10 kids. No, he doesn't have 10 kids. But what I liked about what you said, if I were to think about the same question, is that I like the fact that you asked about, how much more time do you think you have because your investment then is inclusive of the years and what you have and how you're going to actually look at why do you want an investment income, for your retirement. You want a steady income. So how many years are you even going to live is a question I really wouldn't have thought about, because I think upon retirement, the idea is very much, can I have regular income and perhaps maybe, shorter. But, looking at, your projection of your life, your projection of your health, your projection of what you have, what you would like to have. I think those were some very simple enough questions for us to think about. Nice one.
Yeah.
So,
And at Pandit, at his retirement also, right? I'm sure he definitely wants to enjoy going out and seeing different countries and all of that. So this is where, going back to the choices in your life, this is where you live it also. So you've got to balance that, You got to balance it.
So what you're saying is that balance, enjoy your life, but at the same time, don't think about the future and not live your life is what you're saying.
Yeah, it has to be balanced. You have to enjoy today and even for the tomorrow, Yeah.
Very nice. I like you. Very nice.
Yeah,
I like the fact that you asked us to enjoy. Ashok, it's 1:08. I know I'm not going to do the rapid fire, but I'm going to ask you this right now. I'm people who enjoy the conversation beyond your good looks, good voice, and friendliness, and agreeing with everybody. Beyond all that's right. If people want to get educated, you do have YouTube videos, don't you?
I do have a YouTube video. Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, so how can people reach out to your wisdom that is out there in public, so that people can, get more information? Is it your YouTube channel?
Not really. I mean, LinkedIn is probably the best way to get in touch with me. I limit my digital footprint, so I'm not on Facebook or whatever, but I'm on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn, and that's probably one of the best ways to reach out to me.
And if they're my friends, they can ask me for your number. I will.
They should.
I will be the gatekeeper for you.
They should only go to you. Yes, absolutely right.
and so if you look at, so are you doing any educational stuff in the corporate world to help people to be financially more intelligent?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So as much as I focus on the change management work and agile mindset and all of that, I'm also passionate about helping corporates with their staff, everyone down the line, right, be aware about these financial habits. Because the way I look at it is, we are in a rough road since 2020. It's not going to be easy around the world for the next few years. And can you imagine if all the staff are able to manage their finances well, have a peace of mind at home, right? They would bring the best performance to work in that sense. Because I've experienced that before. So again, this is something that I share with corporates and all of that, to be able to get people to start off the right habits.
Nice. So what you're saying is that, we wanted to start at home, we didn't. We wanted to start in school, we didn't. We probably missed out in the college. Now they're at the workplace. Can we start educating people at the workplace so that they manage what they get better? And if organizations can help you do that, then if your people are calm and are feeling secured with their finances because they now have the knowledge and the discipline on how to manage it, you find that all of us actually live in a happier space, right? Because otherwise, how much you earn and happiness factor or satisfaction factor doesn't seem to meet, because it just keeps increasing because we are not having the right habits, is what you seem to be doing.
That's right. Absolutely right.
All right. So Ashok, thank you very much. Is there any last piece of wisdom you want to leave with people? Beyond contacting you, we'll put Ashok. There's only one go, Ashokh Menon on LinkedIn, and I think we'll put it in now. So you can connect with Ashok via LinkedIn. Yes, that's go Ashokh Menon, keynote speaker. And on Facebook, cannot. You have to contact me. If I know you, I might give you his number, but I need to. Okay. And if you're in the corporate sector and you want to educate your employees, get in touch with Ashok over LinkedIn, and he can do that for you. So, any last piece of wisdom before we say goodbye, my friend from Singapore?
Last piece of wisdom: if there's anything that you can start today,
nice.
Start by tracking your finances.
Nice.
Daily expenses. Start with daily first.
Nice.
Get your children to do it. Get your friends to do it.
Nice.
Get your colleagues to do it. Start today.
Okay, start today. Small step. Buku 35 kita start lagi. So, thank you very much. I hope to see you in Malaysia because I think
Yes, ma'am.
And you won't bring your credit card, but just bring enough cash because I'm going to make you pay for it. Okay?
Got it.
Thank you, Ashokh. You have a good Friday. Stay safe.
You too. You too. Thank you once again, Mother. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. As we say bye to Go Ashokh, he's now really going. And I want to thank everyone who stayed engaged with us, specifically on LinkedIn. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for the questions, and for supporting us. Signing off. This is Mal from Hearts and Minds. Next week, in fact, next week is going to be April. April is a month of World Health, and we're going to bring you hopefully alternative thinking into how to think about our own health. So until then, stay healthy so that you stay safe from our visitor who's visiting everybody, COVID-19. He or she had visited our home, and it's not a very nice feeling, but glad that we're over that. So for those who are experiencing have been the chosen one where COVID is visiting you, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll come out of this stronger. If COVID hasn't visited you, well, I hope you stay that way. But, till I meet you next Friday, same time, maybe not the same place because we don't know what's going to happen. Stay safe, and I will see you next Friday at 12. Bye.